Well, a warm welcome this afternoon here from the Red Bull Ring at Austria. It's a pleasure to be back here at the Red Bull Ring for race 2 in the GTOpen International Championship. 4.318 miles. That is, of course, a clockwise circuit with 10 turns, 5 to the right, 5 to the left, equilateral all the way around. A 60-minute race as opposed to the 70 that we had yesterday, and it's a very different story at the sharp end of the order. The Audis look very well prepared for this. Carol Bash, pole sitter after a wonderful display. The Optimum Motorsport car now holding the advantage up at the top, with Joe Osborne sitting in second place. Max Herfer lines up in third. And the two Audis, P1 and P3, after a dazzling display here. Joe Osborne in the McLaren, though, splits the difference. The pro category driver, who is, of course, lining up alongside his teammate, that being Nick Moss, also, who joined the pro category this time around this season, and has certainly adapted to it very well indeed. They have, of course, scored race wins as well. Some of you might remember Paul Ricard, a double race win for Team Optimum Motorsport. An incredible effort from the pair of them. Axel Jeffries marks his return with a 4th place as well on this grid formation. A wonderful effort from Axel, with Christian Koronovsky, who, in deep contrast to what happened yesterday, Koronovsky now lines up in 5th place, with Polcini in behind as well. There is, of course, the Get Speed Mercedes. Of course, they're very well prepared for this one. Kiki Saknana taking the car for that particular drive. And there's Christian Koronovsky as well. But Team GT also back on track 2. They, of course, fresh from a wonderful weekend at Hungaroring, where they took their first win of the season. And AKM Motorsport as well. Timo Rumpkiel, who I spoke to just now as he was getting himself set up, ready to jump into the car. He's hoping for a big performance, to say the least. A big start required for the AM category driver. He's got a long way to go. Christian Koronovsky, obviously the leading AM currently in terms of the grid right now. He starts from 5th place. As there we watch the cars make their way through on the opening lap. They will then take their positions onto the grid before we then commence the formation lap behind the safety car. Of course, getting underway behind the safety car as well. As you can now see now, the cars making their way through. That's the Get Speed performance belonging to Sebastian Beau. Currently sat 9th on the grid, also representing the pro category as well. And he'll be getting himself set up. He's got Christodoulou ahead of him in 8th, with Yannick Mettler, who I also just saw as well. They're hoping for rain at SBS Motorsport. And they were actually doing a rain dance in the paddock as well. Yannick Mettler joined, of course, with Dexter Muller. That's the partnership behind the wheel of that particular Mercedes. There's Murat Çuraroğlu. They started on pole in yesterday's race 1. David Fuminelli, who I just bumped into, making his way up to the garage, of course, giving Murat some support as he makes his way out and commences his first race weekend leading the team. And Fuminelli was delighted with his performance in qualifying yesterday. The Italian dazzled us with such an intensely brilliant display here in the Styrian Mountains. Such a pleasure to be here at Red Bull Ring, of course, folks, and it's certainly delivered some fireworks when it comes to qualifying as well. The lap times are coming in thick and fast right through. No one could stop, though, Carol Bash up at the top end. The Audi R8's absolutely superb in the top 3 of things. My name is, of course, George Morgan. It's a pleasure to be back here for the International GTOpen Championship. And standing alongside me, the one, the only, Ian Salvestrin.
Thank you, George. What an introduction. Delighted to be back with you here at the most beautiful circuit in the world. This is the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and this will be a cracking race. Traditionally, in the past, the 1-hour race on Sunday provides, well, a little more action than the one on Saturday, with the exception of 2021, when a thunderstorm disrupted, in fact, brought an early end to proceedings last year. We're hoping we do have this race on a dry circuit, and with nothing left to lose, the teams will be throwing absolutely everything at this slightly shorter race, 1 hour as opposed to 70 minutes yesterday. As you look at the Thieber Motorsport car, which finished with a victory in the Pro-Am category yesterday and P3 outright. It all kicked off in the dying stages of the 70-minute race yesterday. And the Thieber Motorsport car, driven by Adam Christodoulou, who will start the race here this afternoon on grid 8. He was the beneficiary and coming home in position 3 outright. For the moment, the track is dry. It is still quite cool here at the tail end of the European summer. As you look at the AF Corsa Ferrari being driven by Johnny Molan, the British GT racing veteran, who's sharing this car with Laurent de Meus, the Dutch driver. They will start on the grid at 12th, the 6th row off the grid, alongside Dominic Schrammel, Johnny Molam, and Laurent Demers. They're racing in the AM category. As George just mentioned, a cracking time by Carol Bash. The pole will start from pole position for this slightly shorter 1 hour race here this afternoon. Great to have your company for round 5 of the 7-round 2022 championship. This looks ominous. There's an umbrella out. Are my eyes deceiving me, or is it raining yet, George? Hard to see from our vantage position where we look up over the pit straight towards the mountains. Maybe it's just a precautionary lifting of the umbrella. This is the 11 Ferrari. Erwin Zanotti to start this, the young Italian driver, the 22-year-old. A couple of wins in GT Italy last year, coming out of Formula 4. But the pole will start on pole. His name is Carol Bash, the 777 Audi for the Olymp racing team, before handing over to Marcin Jedlinski, former Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion, and Joe Osborne out of 2. Great to see that the Optimum Motorsport team are carrying the Union Jack in respect, in memory of Her Majesty. The British team, the British supercar, paying their respects to the late, great Queen Elizabeth. Max Hofer, the second Audi inside the top 3 to start in grid 3, in fact, in car 3, sharing this with Dino Steiner. And then Axel Jeffries, the African driver for Kessel Racing, out of grid 4. Look for a strong showing in the early laps of this race for the former Dubai 24-hour winner, carrying the flag of his home nation of Zimbabwe on his helmet. Christian Korsanowski, the young Polish driver, in the second Olymp Racing entry. Wow, they have really gone from being a midfield team to front runners. Pole position in grid 5 for the Polish team. Leonardo Pulcini, former Euro Formula Open champion, sharing the car with a South American, Benjamin Hites, who won at Monza in 2021, where we race in 2 weeks' time. Alain Vallon sharing this car with Bernard Laber. They had a great run last time out in Hungary, starting out of grid 7. And then Adam Christodoulou, speaking of carrying the colours of the national flag, the Saudi Arabian-owned FIBA Motorsport Mercedes. Rima Jufali and Adam Christodoulou gives us away before he sets off out of grid 8. Sebastian Bolt in P3 for much of the race yesterday starts out of grid 9 alongside Yannick Mettler. The highlights from race 1 24 hours ago. The Ferraris were 1, 2, 3 on the grid. David Fuminelli and Michele Rugolo, but the Italian into the gravel at the end of the first lap, and effectively his race was over. A fabulous fight between the Get Speed car and the Oregon, the first of the Oregon cars. Sebastian Board in the Get Speed Mercedes. It got messy towards the end of the race. Fran Rueda was turned around in the 44 Greystone McLaren on a damp track, as you can see. David Fuminelli handing over to Murat Tuadaroglu, and then the Oregon team would pull away for a fantastic and historic 1-2 victory. Tuadaroglu holding his own after he found some rhythm, and towards the end of the race, Joe Osborne, Sebastian Boll coming together out front. Oregon 1-2 for Team Lamborghini, and Adam Christodoulou, who will start from grid 8 in a few moments' time, the Pro-Am victory and grid 3 outright. This is the championship. Glenn Van Berlo, Kevin Gilardone starting, or they are on 96 points. Nick Moss and Joe Osborne are second in the series, and they're only, 10 points behind with Benjamin Hites and Pulcini, P3 in the series. Race 2 here at the Red Bull Ring here in Austria. The clock ticks over to 1 o'clock in imperfect Germanic style. The green flag flies and we set off on the formation lap. The pole on pole, Carol Bash and Joe Osborne for Optimum Motorsport. Max Hofer and Axel Jeffries, the Kessel Racing Ferrari, out of 4. Christian Korsanowski and Leonardo Pulcini for Team Oregon.
Yeah.
Alain Valenti and Adam Christodoulou look for a strong start for the Brit.
Yeah, absolutely. Sebastian Bow in 9th as well. Yannick Mettler in 10th place. Lines up there. Line up for 11th and 12th goes to Dominic Schrammel and Johnny Maulam as well. P13 That goes to Erwin Zanotti with Kevin Ghilardoni, yesterday's race winner alongside Timo Rumpkiel. Motor Park alongside Ernst Kirkmeyer as well in 16th. 17th goes to Alexander Hrakowina, praying for rain today, as is Kiki Saknana as well. P19 goes to Murat Chiradaroglu with Marco Antonelli alongside him. Yesterday's AM race winner with Janine Schaffner in 21st, with 22nd going to Willem van der Voort. In 23rd, Andrew Gilbert lies up for Greystone GT. As the cars now make their way around the circuit, we've got an interview now.
Karel Basch, second pole of the season here at the Red Bull Ring, and that was a very close one, and therefore a nice one.
Yeah, now it's getting harder, the level in GTOpen. Yeah, we did pole position. Yesterday was a little bit unlucky, but we have the speed, and thank you for all embracing, because they prepare very well the car, and you know, it's amazing to be back on the top, and yeah, now we have the race, and we need to forward for this.
How you see the race?
I mean, for me, very important is to don't lose so much time in the start, and then you know, escape from the guys, and then I need to give the car to my teammate, and I hope will be everything on our plan.
All the best.
Thank you, guys.
The plan so far so good for Karel Basch. Obviously very happy with what happened in qualifying. 2 Audis up in the top end, as we said. Obviously first place for Karel Basch and Marcin Jedlinski, but he will have the tough task of keeping Joe Osborne in behind. He will have a very nice opportunity to gain a lead potentially at the start, but Karel Basch no slouch in that Audi R8. You can see as well Max Herfer in behind. That Aus Motorsport car certainly did suffer some issues in practice. They didn't have any brakes. They had to get that repaired. Of course, a reasonable performance in yesterday's race, but they returned again with yet another stunning display in qualifying, as now the cars wind their way up. Soon they're about to get going. The lights will go green very shortly. Karel Basch on the left is on our picture, Joe Osborne on the right. The lights remain red as they come towards the line, and it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. They make their way down through towards turn 1. Karel Basch holds on to the lead in behind as well. You can see Joe Osborne fighting, trying to hold on to that P2. He does so, running off wide Max Herfer as now they ride their way, leading up through towards turn 3. We run on board now with Sebastian Boe, who is currently now sat in his position, watching Adam Christodoulou dead ahead of him alongside the Team GT of Alan Valente as they head up now towards Remus. It is still Karel Basch who leads. You can see Axel Jeffries trying to pressure Max Herber to make a mistake. Kiki Sangnana riding very wide indeed, heading out of turn 3 at Remus. An electrifying start. Timo Rumpkiel, what a start as well. He's in 13th place and challenging up at the top end. What a start here.
Perfect start from Karel Basch in P1. He'll try and escape. Joe Osborne will try and stay with him. There's Leonardo Pulcini down the inside, trying to make moves as Adam Christodoulou runs off the circuit. We were expecting a strong start for the Brit, but he's lost a couple of places. There's Christian Korsanowski in the Olympia Racing Ferrari. He's fallen back to, what, 6th, 7th position as one of the Mercedes that goes down the inside. Alain Valente is right there as you ride on board with Andrew Gilbert. In the McLaren, Karel Basch will try and escape and build up a strong lead, but Joe Osborne is staying with him. He himself is coming under attack from the second Audi in the form of Max Hofer. Yeah, there is Korsanowski running wide.
Yeah, very wide indeed, heading down through the latter corners on this lap. Further back, you can also see that certainly Pulcini trying to make moves. Kevin Ghilardoni is also trying to move his way forward. Timo Rumpkiel actually getting the jump on Kevin Ghilardoni at that point. You can see Karel Basch committing so much to the far side of the circuit. They're all taking that sausage curve in it. You can see how much it rumbles as they come on through. There you can see Kevin Ghilardoni side by side with Timo Rumpkiel as they make their way up towards turn 3. The Mercedes and the Lamborghini going toe-to-toe, neck and neck. It looks like Timo might have the upper hand, though, as they make their way up towards turn 3 now. There is, of course, Axel Jeffries, with in behind as well Leonardo Pulcini. Pulcini wasn't overly pleased with the result yesterday. Despite getting a podium, he wanted more as they make their way down through towards Schloss Gold now. There you can see Karel Basch leads the way. Osborne in second. We now see Sebastian Boe now make his way down through towards that particular corner as well. You can see once again Kevin Ghilardoni trying to pepper the rear end of Timo's Mercedes, well, certainly the Mercedes car that's making its way around that particular bend at turn 4. They now worm their way through the Wirth and Roche curves as well. Joe Osborne in second, Max Herfer just in behind, just waiting patiently for any opening. but they are starting to settle down slowly now. Axel Jeffries in fourth, Polcini holding his own. Kevin Ghilardoni has managed to dispossess now Timo Rumpkill, and he's dropped down to 14th place. Great battling between that pair.
A couple of things to watch out for in the early stages of this race. Firstly, the Audis, they look good here. They're in first and third positions. And don't forget, the V10 engine that they run is technically, well, very similar, we won't say identical, to the Lamborghini, which ran 1-2 yesterday. The Audis in first and third. And the 4-litre V8 twin-turbo McLaren of Joe Osborne, the pro driver, in second place, under attack from Max Herfer. There is Axel Jeffries, Leonardo Polcini behind. The championship leader, Kevin Ghilardoni, down in 13th place.
Absolutely right there. You can see the House Motorsport Audi R8 as well. We said how good the Audis have been at this circuit. Carol Bash now has advanced a 1.4 second advantage. Herfer now getting closer to the back of Joe Osborne as they now head down in towards Slosh Gold at turn 4. Carol Bash there with a nice bit of clean edge. Osborne, you can see now the Audi starting to get in really tight to that apex. Just a quick reminder of the classifications, folks. Red is for Pro, Pro-Am is blue, green for Am as well. So there you can see up at the top end of things, Carol Bash, obviously part of the Pro-Am category class, currently leads the way, with Joe Osborne in second, part of the Pro contingent, with Max Herfer in the Pro-Am as well. Axel Jeffries also part of the Pro-Am scene, as we're now seeing a car run off wide. Now, is that the AF Corsa? It is. Now, that car was off as well. Of course, back then, yesterday, it was Michele Regulo, and that's Ernst Kirkmeyer, who is now off the Barron Motorsport car. No, sorry, Philip Barron is the other driver as part of that one. Interesting moment, certainly this portion of the race. This doesn't deter, though, the battle at the top end of things. Joe Osborne trying to keep the relentless Max Herfer in behind, who is certainly going hunting for that P2. They've got turn 1 now, the Niki Lauda curve. There you can see now the McLaren 720S getting so uncomfortable as it comes across the sausage curve, but still the Audi getting closer all the time in the slipstream. Will he now pull the plug now on Osborne's second place? In comes Herfer now, side by side, wheel to wheel. George. Safety car. Safety car deployed here in this initial lap. 55 minutes to go, and we have a safety car, folks.
Wow, does that give breathing space to Joe Osborne? We take a look at a replay of the start. Carol Bash from pole position, so close to Joe Osborne as they came up to the line. And from P1, Carol was simply gone.
Incredible moment indeed. It was such a huge start, to say the least. We're just watching now on board Andrew Gilbert. We watched everything go on in front of him. He got spun yesterday, but no such fears at this point. Comes in towards turn 1. And I believe that's the AF Corsa just in front of him, in fact, just making his way through. There is Sebastian Boe with Christodoulou alongside him. Christodoulou got a reasonable jump too. Currently remains in 8th place, but a wonderful start certainly for him. At least he held position at this particular point, dueling it out with Alan Valente, who still remains in 7th as well. We've got the slow-mo cameras as we see the cars taking turn 1. There you can see the Aus Motorsport taking a really wide line, running off exceptionally wide. In fact, Max Herfer,
they all did, George.
Committee, they all did, yes. You might as well just pick a car. They all went wide, but Max Herfer, given his pace, absolutely sensational. This was the moment.
Ghilardoni. So it's Kevin, the championship leader, frustrated, runs into the back of Ernest Kirchmeier. That may have championship implications because Kevin has moved up into 12th position. Gee, that was not a clean move, though. And the 91 Ferrari of Ernest Kirchmeier is still parked in the gravel. Carol Bash, who escaped down the road, a perfect start for the Polish driver in the 777 Audi. He had a lead of 2.2 seconds. Obviously, that now evaporates as Ernest Kirchmeier's car is retrieved. It's still parked in the gravel. Bash from Osborne, who was being attacked. Max Herfer trying to make it an Audi 1-2. Axel Jeffries in position 4, I should say. We get a look at the Oregon team cars at the moment. Pulcini in P5 in 63. And Ghilardoni, who came together with Ernest Kirchmeier in position 12, just ahead of Timo Rumpkill, who's really enjoying himself this weekend. The busiest person at the Red Bull circuit here for this GTOpen International, double-headed together with the Euro Formula Open Series. Marco Antonelli has made a good start. He's behind Dominic Schrammel. Kiki Nana behind Erwin Zanotti. Marco Antonelli will be sharing that car with Florian Scholter, who, remember, took the victory in 2021 at this circuit in the Pro-Am category.
Yeah, wonderful display as well. And And great to see all these drivers taking to the circuit. The busiest weekend we've had this season in the GTOpen, and it's great to see so many of them getting involved as well. See plenty of debuts out on track. It's always great to see them. Carol Bash leads the contingent through here under the safety car. Now this will hurt those that have started with their pro drivers. If you're a Pro-Am driver commencing your run here at this point, we just saw pictures of Fran Rueda, in fact, as we pan to the garages. But the Pro-Am drivers now, obviously it's the incentive for the pros to go as fast as they can at the initial start in order to give their co-drivers obviously the ability to have a little bit more time and space. But at this point, given that the safety car is out, any advantage has evaporated at this very point. Carol Bash now, all his hard work at the start has effectively been taken away, as has Joe Osborne, and as well as Max Herfer, though Joe Osborne, a different sort of situation because Nick Moss obviously representing the pro category as well. Axel Jeffries up in fourth as well. This hands Polcini with a huge opportunity heading through because, of course, they are both certainly pro drivers. So offers certainly a great opportunity for Leonardo Polcini and Ben Jahites to get a good result here today.
It's entertaining for us to have Pro-Am drivers in the field because, well, it mixes up the order quite considerably as the safety car prepares to come into pit lane at the end of this lap. But it can be frustrating for the drivers. A Pro-Am combination, they will, as you say, George, try and build up as big a lead as possible. Carol Bash had 2.2 seconds over Joe Osborne. That's an all-pro combination. But Carol Bash, he is the pro in the Pro-Am combination. And will try and hand over as big a lead as possible to his teammate, Marcin Jedlinski. As the safety car prepares to pull in at the end of this lap, you ride on board with Murat Tuadaroglu. The driver who qualified this morning starts the race this afternoon, inverse to yesterday's race one. So Murat Tuadaroglu will hand over to yesterday's pole sitter, David Fumanelli, who will take it to the checkered flag in the Kessel Racing Ferrari, which you were riding on board with. The Michelin tyres up to temperature here in round 5 of the series. There is Adam Christodoulou just ahead. They went wheel to wheel in the dying stages yesterday. This is the view from Sebastian Bourd's Get Speed Mercedes. Virtually identical car ahead. As we said yesterday, it must be the first GT3 race in, well, living memory that does not feature a single car from the Stuttgart manufacturer. No Porsches in the series, but there's 10 Mercedes. Out front, it is a German car, here in German-speaking Austria, that of the Audi.
Yeah, absolutely right. Carol Bash now will be the man to get them back underway. Safety car confirmed in this lap, folks. Joe Osborne getting as tight as possible to the back of that Audi to get up to pace again. Carol Bash now will head around the final corner of this particular lap, and once again they will go pedal to the metal for the second time in this race now. And already straight from the get-go, Max Herfer getting a huge launch on Joe Osborne, potentially second up for question, as now up the inside goes Max Herfer. Here this time on Joe Osborne, second place he gets on the outset now of turn 1. Axel Jeffries also primed and ready in that Kessel Racing Ferrari as they make the climb now, the high ascension rise leading up through towards turn 3. Joe Osborne goes defensive. He spies a Ferrari in behind. You can see the AUSTRIA Motorsport Audi as well in front of the pair of them. In comes Jeffries. Side by side they remain. He goes off the track as they once again go side by side. Joe Osborne, though, holds on to that P3 spot. Herfer still, though, has second place. In behind, you've got Christian Koronovsky as well, who is in 6-2, as Jeffries, once again, showing in the mirrors of Joe Osborne, just letting him know that he's there. But look at Polcini as well.
So late under brakes was the Italian. Almost ran into the back of Axel Jeffries in the Kessel Racing Ferrari. Off the restart, it was a perfect jump from Max Herfer, was glued to the rear of the McLaren, up the inside, down into turn 1, and once again, it is an Audi 1-2.
It is a wonderful scene as well. The garage lighting up. Dino Steiner, you can see him just tentatively waiting in his chair. Obviously, it'll be his turn later on into the race to take over. A great character indeed, the AUSTRIA Motorsport team, hoping for a big result here. They will, of course, be contesting for that Pro-Am win. They'll be in a perfect position to do so. Obviously, it wasn't an ideal situation for them to be in heading into the weekend, but I tell you what, they've recovered very well indeed. In behind Joe Osborne, still very much in the slipstream of Max Herfer. Jeffries in behind as well with Leonardo Polcini. Currently sits in 5th place, the former championship leader. I'm sure he'd like to take it back, that's for sure. Obviously, that safety car would have done him a lot of favours. Now we're seeing the cars now rumble over the curbs. There's Kevin Gillardoni, who's trying to close up now on Yannick Mettler, who remains in 11th place. Johnny Mowlem is separating Seb Bow and Mettler, currently sat in 10th spot, as now the cars filter their way through turn 3 now. There's Alan Valente with Christodoulou hot on his tail as well. You can't separate anybody. The gaps are thinner than a fly's eyelash all across this contingent right now. Is still Bash now tries to hammer home an advantage. He is gained now. He's up to 1.8 seconds, obviously assisted by that battle between Herfer and Osborne.
Well, it was 2.2 seconds before the safety car. Incidentally, the team manager of, well, the number 19 Oregon team Lamborghini has been called to race control, obviously for that incident with Ernest Kirschmeier, who has rejoined. The 91 Ferrari dragged out of the gravel. He is still circulating down in 23rd and last position. Georgia's a fantastic start also from Christian Korsanowski in the 5 Olymp Racing Ferrari. It's a big jump from the Volkswagen Polo Cup that he was racing in a few years ago. He's in position 6 behind Pulcini, ahead of Alan Valente, and a frustrating start conversely for Adam Christodoulou.
Yeah, absolutely right. Christodoulou, obviously, they're going to suffer later on in the pit stop phase because they will have an extension on their handicap to serve when the driver change occurs. So, obviously, Rima Chafali is going to have a big task on her hands, but she is a very capable driver, of course. We all know about Rima, and certainly a trailblazer in this sport, as now we're watching the cars make their way through turn 1. There you can see the scenes now, all of them in tandem. The Aust Motorsport car of Max Herfer making his way up towards turn 3 as well. Joe Osborne hot on his tail. And as they do, ride their way through this portion of the circuit, Leonardo Pulcini waiting for the right moment to strike. They certainly want to make some serious inroads so that Benji Hites can take over the car. They're in a prime spot here, or at Team Oregon. They could very well land yet another race win, and that would be a perfect weekend, certainly for Team Oregon, as now the cars come down in towards Schloss Gold. There you can see Axel Jeffries right in behind that of Joe Osborne. Joe Osborne doing a great job of marshalling these drivers in behind as well. Remember, he's going to have to hand over to Nick Moss later on as well, though Max Herfer starting to build a gap now in between him and Joe Osborne. Is now 0.8 of a second, but Herfer is now 2 seconds behind Carol Bash. So Carol Bash already regaining that time that he lost under the safety car.
We approach 1/4 race distance, so we are projecting a race of around about 34, 35 laps, obviously depending on safety car intervention. Bash has got 2.2 seconds over Max Herfer. Just repeating, it is now an Audi 1-2 as you ride on board with the Get Speed Mercedes of Sebastian Board. As Christodoulou just ahead rides the ripple strip down through the Jochenring curves and accelerates down across the start-finish line and climbs up the hill 60 metres higher. And the start-finish line is turn 3. Bash goes through. Yeah, there is Herfer in second place. The warning flag for the race leader. Carol Bash using every bit and then some, in fact more than the racetrack that he's legally entitled to. Gets a warning for that. Let them race, boys, let them race.
Yeah, warning for Carol Bash for track limits at turn 9 and 10. That is quite a severe point on the circuit. Plenty of drivers, some of them do take liberties through those fast bends. Very easy to get it wrong and head yourself over the curves. Obviously, these drivers want to be as quick as they can. Obviously, Carol Bash looking to try and push the gap between him and Max Herfer. Of course, Max Herfer doing a great job of ushering in that time. It was 2.2 seconds. It's now 2 seconds now, so he is working hard. There you can see Axel Jeffries getting a little bit squirrely, heading out of Schloss Gold with Leonardo Pulcini just in behind, of course, late on the brakes. All of these drivers want to try and get every advantage possible. And again, Pulcini starting to show his attacking streak now, as he now shows in the mirrors of Axel Jeffries. Here we ride on board now with Seb Bowe, who has got the view of the Thieber Motorsport car belonging to that of, we've got Adam Christodoulou in that position, currently sat in 8th place. And was sparring off with Alan Valente. That gap is now out to a second, so Alan Valente starting to pull away. There's Carol Bash. That gap now back to 2.2 seconds, so he's started to find the pace right now.
Carol Bash is approaching turn 1, where race control tell us it is now raining at the Red Bull Ring. The gap is 2.2 seconds. So now the nerves for the team managers down in pit lane. It is raining at the Red Bull Ring, particularly in turn 1. The gap, 2.1 seconds. There's Max Herfer in second place. Joe Osborne, Axel Jeffries. They've all gone through as they climb the hill tentatively. And you can see the wipers are now on. The headlights are on. These GT3 supercars here at the Red Bull Ring in the GTOpen International Championship. An opportunity now for Axel Jeffries on the back of Joe Osborne in the rain.
Yeah, no, after the investigation, the incident involving cars number 91, that's Ernst Kirkmeyer, and that of 19, that belonging to Kevin Gillardoni, no one was actually at fault. They decided no driver was predominantly at fault, therefore that's the investigation over, so there'll be no recompense for that. Certainly Ernest Kirkmeyer now at the back of the field with no penalty to Kevin Gillardoni at this point. That's what the stewards have decided, folks, as now we're seeing the cars now make their way through the middle sector. There we're riding on board with Sebastian Boe. He's chasing after Christodoulou. That gap is yet again starting to stagnate this time. Christodoulou finding pace.
Let's listen to this. So relief for the championship leader, Kevin Gillardoni, who's still down in 12th place. The teams are down in pit lane. I can tell you they are preparing the Michelin wet tyres. We'll check the gap this time. Down to 1.9 seconds. So Max Herfer is catching Carroll. The V10 screams as he climbs the hill. There's the graphic to the left of your screen. It is raining at the Red Bull Ring. Braking earlier than normal. We'll check the gap. 1.7 seconds. Sideways on the exit. There's Christodoulou with Sebastian Boe just behind it. Johnny Molam, Yannick Mettler. Good try from Yannick, a good start. He's in P11, ahead of the championship leader, Kevin Gillardoni.
Yeah, they've got 2 laps now, effectively, before the driver change opens up. So we'll have to wait and see what happens now. Obviously, Bash will stay out for as long as possible. I can imagine Max Herfer will do the same. Joe Osborne, it'll be a question as to whether Joe Osborne stays out. I'd imagine he would, of course. Obviously, Axel Jeffries in behind will do the same, as well as Polchini. But you could certainly imagine further down that there'll be driver changes made. Maybe the likes of Seb Boe will make a change. For example, we've got others as well, like Christodoulou, who will certainly stay out, as well as Polchini goes hunting now on Axel Jeffries. Those two coming together, the Lamborghini and the Ferrari, as they now head through now the Roche and Wirth curves. They'll then venture into the Jochen Rindt curve as well. Warning flag for cars 54 and 17 on turns 9 and 10. Once again, turning out to be a catalyst at this point. Yannick Mettler getting a warning, as well as car number 17. That, of course, belonging to Marco Antonelli, who was fighting at the sharp end as well yesterday. And certainly when the certainly the AM classification is certainly in question. He fought very well indeed out on track. Very good race indeed from Marco Antonelli, as they now make their way down through towards turn 1.
So light rain falling here at the Red Bull Ring. This is Johnny Molam, Yannick Mettler, Kevin Gillardoni just in the background. There is the championship leader. They are lapping 1 second slower than earlier on in the race. Light rain falling here at the Red Bull Ring as we approach the pit stop window. So there, we had the same question yesterday. Do they try and stay out because they do change drivers, stay on Michelin slicks, and it does rain again? Well, then it's 2 stops. If it doesn't, well, their strategy's out the window anyway. Light rain falling here at the Red Bull Ring. The gap is 1.7 seconds between the 2 Audis of Bash, Herfer. Then it's Osborne, who just disappears at the bottom of your screen, as we watch Polchini, who goes very deep under brakes on the back of the African driver. Once again, you ride on board with Sebastian Boe. There's Christodoulou ahead. The thunderous 6.2 litre V8, no, V10 Mercedes. Listen to this. Sorry, of course, it is a V8 engine. The V10 powered Audis, and of course the V10 Lamborghini on your screen.
Yeah, absolutely right. I was talking to Alexander Harakowina earlier on this afternoon, of course, ever present in the Team Manfilter Landgraf car, or the Manfilter Team Landgraf car, performing here this weekend. And he expressed his frustration at yesterday's result. They went for a full wet setup. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be yesterday. And so obviously they're going to have to make decisions as to whether they want to opt for it today. Obviously, they're leading the AM classification in terms of the championship as far as that's concerned. So it's a potential big weekend for them. They can certainly look to recover. They've got a little bit of work to do, though. Currently sat in behind Erwin Sanotti, and that's of Kiki Sagnana and Marco Antonelli, with more category drivers further up the classification as well, as we now watch Leonardo Polchini get closer and closer, this time to Axel Jeffries. This is the replay, and now this is the AF Corsa Ferrari kicking up the dirt as they make their way through. Not an ideal moment whatsoever.
Johnny Molam just off the road there. Yannick Mettler, and there is the championship leader, Kevin Gillardoni, who still is there in 12th place. It is raining at the top of the hill. Tuataroglu right there fighting with the Austrian, Alexander Rakowina. This is the Turk. Around the outside goes Rakowina, almost runs into the back of the Manfield Mercedes. The teams are down in pit lane as we take a look at Leonardo Pulcini down the inside and does take the Zimbabwean. Axel Jeffries goes back to P5. Pulcini up into 4th spot. Osborne in 3rd, the driver on your screen. Car 3, Max Herfer is catching the race leader. The Audis 1 and 2. The gap 1.5 seconds, 0.2 of a second out of the pole for Max Herfer. That time there's Joe Osborne holding his own in the British supercar. Of course, carrying the colours or carrying the Union Jack in memory of Her Majesty. The British drivers, the British team, the British car here in Austria, they're in position 3. There is Pulcini. Jeffries now under attack from Christian Korsanowski. Really impressive, strong run from Christian in car 5. And behind him, Alain Valente, Christodoulou, Bout and Maulam with that moment just a few laps ago into the gravel, almost threw it away. We are now almost inside the pit stop window. No one has stopped yet, but all the teams are ready down in pit lane.
Yeah, only half a minute, sorry, before the window opens up. The driver change will be starting imminently. Carol Bash leading the way and actually obtained fastest lap 14 with a 1:29.555. So he is finding the pace still at this point. We've still got 36 minutes, just over that, in fact, still to go as the cars now work their way through. I tell you what, Christian Korsanowski will be very pleased with this response after yesterday. Obviously, they had a tough race, as we're now seeing the action replay. Andrew Gilbert in the Greystone GT colliding with Murat Çuraroğlu, and that's not ideal at all. It's right on board here with Andrew Gilbert. He didn't really set it up the inside. Oh, contact on the rear.
In the rain. That's where race control has told us it is raining. You can see the water on the windscreen. And the 133 Ferrari with damage, you would think. Hopefully it's only bodywork as the Audis get closer. It's now 1.4 seconds between Herfer in 2nd and Bash, who started from pole position in position 1. We are now inside the pit stop window. Everyone is just waiting simply to see what the weather will do. You're right on board with the Brit, Andrew Gilbert. Antonelli pulls down into pit lane.
Yeah, Andrew Gilbert showing very well indeed. Unfortunately, he was uprooted yesterday, ironically enough, by Christian Korsanowski, we saw earlier on. But nevertheless, a great display as we're now seeing the Antonelli Motorsport car. Florian Scholzer will be getting in. Obviously, Marco Antonelli doing the first stint. He'll be jumping out now. More cars coming in as well, including Murat Çuraroğlu. David Fuminelli will be taking his place too. As now we're seeing Kevin Gillardoni still right in the midst of the fight with Yannick Mettler. And Kevin Gillardoni getting the move done, moving up into 11th place as well. So a great showing. Obviously, Glenn Van Berlo will be jumping in that car soon as well.
Yeah, of course, a Ferrari is also in pit lane. Michele Rugolo to take over that after a forgettable race yesterday. He'll be back behind the wheel and will take it to the checkered flag. Look for a storming drive for the Venetian. Michele Rugolo down in 22nd position. The second car to come into pit lane, Marco Antonelli the first to hand over to last year's Pro-Am race winner as Christian Korsanowski runs wide. Florian Scholzer takes over the wheel of the 17 AKM Motorsport Mercedes. There is Osborne going through, still light rain falling here at the Red Bull Ring. Pulcini and Axel Jeffries. Right behind that's Christian Korsanowski, Alain Valente, P7. Christodoulou is losing time to the drivers ahead before he hands over to Remo Jafali in the Saudi Theba Motorsport car up the hill. Joe Osborne runs wide. There is Christian Korsanowski, car 5. Osborne at the exit of turn 1 with Pulcini right behind. A correction, runs off the circuit, the car gets airborne, and Axel Jeffries follows him through in the background. Spectacular images from the Red Bull Ring. Round 5 of the 2022 championship. Joe Osborne still in position 3.
Yeah, Pulcini with a wonderful display, certainly. Carol Bash, who is trying to get himself past the back markers now. He's got certainly those that have already made stops. That, of course, being Florian Scholzer, who has now jumped in the stead of Marco Antonelli. In comes now the Olymp Racing Audi. Of course, still yet to stop, has made his way through. Now, this will help Karel Basch, and as I say that, Max Herfer managing to get on by as well. So any advantage was quickly snuffed away as now they make their way down through towards turn 1. There you can see Karel Basch still holds the lead. Max Herfer not far behind. He's managed to really close that gap in. Max Herfer definitely finding the pace here at this point in the race. 32, just over, or just under 33 minutes still to go. The change is still very much on. We've got 8 minutes and just under 40 seconds to go in terms of the driver change. So Karel Basch has a few laps still where he can unleash lap times, as well as Max Herfer, who is going to stick behind him and wait for any opportunity to take the lead. Every advantage counts at this point of the race. As now Karel Basch comes out of Remus, closely followed by Max Herfer. Joe Osborne now 7.8 seconds in behind that of Max Herfer, with Polcini just in behind him as well. Obviously, we've just had 17 laps of racing so far. We've got a replay here, and that's the motor park car, if I'm not mistaken. It was Timo Rumpkill part of that. And coming together, certainly with the
Dominic Schrammel.
Dominic Schrammel, yes, indeed. Great display, certainly from Timo. Very excited to see him taking part in racing action today. A wonderful overtake, certainly, and this opened the door as well for, well, Murat Tradaroglu, who was exchanged for David Fuminelli. This was the moment. Coming down into the Red Bull Mobile curve, inside line. Oh, very tight indeed. Rumbling over the curbs and just caught the car just ahead of him as well. Not ideal at all. So I think that Kessel Racing Ferrari would have felt that one.
Absolute violence as you rode on board. This is Joe Osborne under attack. The rain has eased up. There's Kosanovski in the background. Peels off into pit lane. Polcini behind Osborne, positions 3 and 4. Max Herfer has cut the lead down from 1.9 seconds down to 0.6. He's right on the back of Karel Basch. Polcini likewise on Joe Osborne. Kosanovski down into pit lane. He'll hand over to Stanislav Jedlinski. Here is the number 5 Olympa Racing Ferrari, the Polish team. The Polish driver combination. And also down into the pits is car 19 for Team Oregon, Gilardoni, who will, of course, hand over to Glenn Van Berlo. The championship leaders fall down the field. Polcini right on the back of Osborne. The championship leaders, car 19 in pit lane. The Swiss-Italian hands over to the talented young Dutchman. The Italian team finishing 1-2 yesterday. And this is his teammate. Has a look on the back of Joe Osborne as they race down the hill, very close to the back of Joe. Former GT4 European champion, British champion in the past. The Optimum Motorsport team also racing in the Asian Le Mans series in the past couple of seasons. As we see car 9 down into pit lane, that's Moritz Kranz, who will take over from Janine Schaffner, who steps out of the car. Great drive yesterday for Moritz, and he's got exactly 30 minutes to do the same here this afternoon. Yep. Car 63, Polcini still on the back of Osborne.
Finishing P8 yesterday and claiming 3 valuable points as well towards the championship overall, as we're now seeing the cars make their way through. Joe Osborne very much still in control. P3, Polcini in behind though, getting closer. Now this is a battle we've seen all season long, not forgetting as well Axel Jeffries, who is in behind too, still very much in the fight. Alan Valente hasn't left the rear either. Joe Osborne, of course, very familiar with Oregon cars. They've certainly come together with that of the Optima Motorsport, running off wide there as well. Alan Valente in the Team GT Mercedes as they make the climb once again, leading up towards turn 3. The driver change now entering the final 5.5 minutes, as now we're seeing Chris Tadulu still holding on to his advantage. Van Berlo, of course, who's making a recovery drive right now, getting closer and closer later on the brakes there. Leonardo Polcini as they now make the descent. Once again, the AUS Motorsport belonging to that of Max Herfer, looking in the mirrors of that Olymp Racing car belonging to that of Karel Basch. Kiki Sagnana I've just seen pull into the pit lane as well, so Adam Osaka into there. We see them now getting the driver change underway. And they've got certainly the changes being made to the tyres as well, getting ready for the new conditions out on track.
Max Herfer on the back of Karel Basch now, as we see the front Rueda Andrew Gilbert car coming down into pit lane. And the lead McLaren on your screen just ahead of Leonardo Polcini, so it'll be an interesting to watch. The 44 McLaren in the second half of this race. We are now right in the middle of the driver change. And still the leaders stay out, wondering if it will rain or simply try and build up as big a lead as possible. First and second come racing across the line. The gap is 0.0. Max Herfer lines up Karel Basch, the former Lamborghini Super Trofeo world champion. Fran Rueda. The Spaniard and the Brit trade positions. The Audi still run 1-2 up the hill. The gap is a long way back to Joe Osborne, almost 10 seconds. Herfer has reeled him in from a mile back. The car looks good. The 3 Aust racing car, they had a terrible start to the weekend. Doubtful if they would even qualify. They're now running P2, looking to take the lead in race 2 this afternoon.
They certainly are getting closer and closer. Max Herfer potentially teeing up a response against that of Carol Bash as they head down in towards Sosh-Gold at turn 4. Still Bash in front. The Audi's running very well indeed. Here is David Fuminelli making his way up as we run on board up towards turn 3 in the Kessel Racing Ferrari. Going side by side again. Smoothly does it, moves himself up, side-by-side action now between the leaders. Max Herfer, fed up with staying in P2, gets P1 from Carol Bash, heading through the double left-handers, coming through Roche and Verth curve. Splendid stuff indeed. Carol Bash, though, not content with that. He will certainly not take that one lying down. In through towards the Jochen curve. The tyres squeal as they head through the next right, but Carol Bash unable to usurp him. Or have I spoke too soon? He's still chipping at that wood, knocking at the door, trying to find a response as they make their way down the long straight. It is still Herfer on top, but Carol Bash still very much in behind. The Audis have been working so hard all weekend as they now make their way towards turn 1. They battle again as now they head out of the Niki Lauda curve. It is still Max Herfer in behind Carol Bash, waiting to tee up a manoeuvre. He gets into the slipstream, looks alongside. Will he show in the mirrors? He certainly does, making the almighty climb up towards turn 3. Carol Bash once again sinks in, looks left, looks right, can't find a way. Stunning stuff here from both teams, both cars, both drivers, giving us absolutely everything here at the midway point, just inside the latter point of this race here, Ian.
Absolutely brilliant racing. The Audi's trade positions. Max Herfer has reeled him in from 1.9 seconds back and gone through to take the lead. Carol Bash looking to fight back, and they both stay out. Take a look at this. Down the hill, Carol Bash running ever so slightly wide, almost in the gravel. They almost touch. Bash gives him room. Herfer goes through and takes the lead in car 3. And it's still an Audi 1-2. Carol Bash in second place. Fantastic in the GTOpen International Championship. Herfer now in P1. This is Carol, the pole sitter. Will be handing over imminently. A problem for Kristen Kosanowski's car. Who's handed over to Jedlinski. Stanislav Jedlinski just taking over from Kosanowski. Yep, it looks as though one of the Michelins is damaged.
Yeah, puncture on the rear right by the looks of it, or some issue, but there you can see Philip Barron jumping in the car now for Barron Motorsport. Ernest Kirkmeyer, who unfortunately suffered that issue at the start. There's Alexander Horakowino stepping out for Martin Conrad, who will now enter the car for Van Filter Team Landgraf. In comes now Carol Bash.
And Osborne. And Polchini.
And Polchini.
And Jeffries.
Yeah, Jeffries is in. So is the Aust Motorsport car coming in as well. So Dino Steiner will step in. Marcin Jedlinski jumps in the other Audi as well for Olymp Racing. There you can see Dino Steiner now trying to take Max Herfer as aid him, getting him out of the car. More and more come peeling in. In comes Christian Koronowski. This is Stanislav Jedlinski. No doubt to have a look at that tyre issue that they are having right now. There you can see the Get Speed Performance Mercedes as well. Steve Jans jumping in for Sebastian Bowe. Joe Osborne strapping in Nick Moss as well. They're all about to get back underway here. The driver change now will come to an end in just over 20 seconds.
Rima Jufali takes over the wheel of the Thiba Motorsport Mercedes. The Kessel Racing team go to work. Stephen Earl and Erwin Zanotti. So Dominic Schrammel is actually in the race lead at the moment. There is Dino Steiner and Jedlinski behind. So the Audis were 1-2. We'll see where they shake out. Nick Moss and Joe Osborne in the McLaren. They are the dark horse for the victory here this afternoon. Benjamin Hites in position 5 at the moment as we get to the end of the pit stop window. So we'd suggest that a few of them were waiting to see if it did rain. It is now starting to rain again as Rima Jufali exits pit lane. Just as the pit stop window ends, it is starting to rain slightly heavier here at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, absolutely right. Nick Moss as well, fresh into the car, now starting to battle here. We're trying to get himself through now. Zamian there indeed as well, as we're now back to the front end of things. Jedlinski and Steiner, who are once again reigniting this Audi battle that we have going on right now. Zamian holding on to that 6th place ahead of Nick Moss, who is still trying to gain on that Kessel Racing Ferrari. But here, the two Audis once again dueling it out. This time, it'll be Steiner and Jedlinski battling over that 2nd place. Florian Scholz now up into 10th. 10th. Neumann now in 11th. Van Berlo is creeping up as well. He's in 13th place with Jafali in between Neumann and Van Berlo in 12th spot. So lots going on at this moment in time. Schrammel, though, still with the lead, but he has boxed. He is in the pit lane.
Just in the pit lane now.
There you can see him there. Mario Hirscher will step in, and incredible stuff. Indeed, Steiner will no doubt come across the line. Will he take the lead, though? Without a doubt, I'm sure he will. With Jedlinski, here comes Steiner as they now head down through towards turn 1. They go in tandem. Still Steiner with the lead. It is going to be Aus Motorsport on top. The two Audis, 1 and 2.
So the more things change, more things stay the same. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Steiner and Jedlinski still 1 and 2 with Schrammel down in pit lane. And the Oregon team, they came from behind yesterday. We'll see if they can do it again here this afternoon. Car 19 on your screen. Down the field, we'll take a look at what happened a few moments ago. There is Rima Jafali, who's just taken over the wheel of the 18 Mercedes and about to find the gravel. Oh, close. She keeps it on the circuit.
Good move from Van Berlo, though, to make his move up there as well. You can see Marcin Jedlinski, wiper going on that Audi, and that's a statement certainly as to the fact that rain is falling here at this circuit, but still Steiner holding on to that lead. Oh, has he? Oh, a spin!
He's around in the wall!
He's got it wrong. He's got it oh so wrong. No contact as such, but off the track now. Jedlinski just lost it, got out of shape heading out of Schloss Gold, and now Steiner has marched on forward in front. He can't get off the gravel trap.
No,
in comes Hites.
The car's broken, George. He cannot steer it. He's whacked the wall. The front end does not look straight. He's beached in the gravel. The safety car will inevitably be deployed as we move into the final third of the race. Watch this. The track is wet. Steiner just ahead. Jedlinski up the inside gets the run on him, but the track is greasy. Locks up smack into the wall. And effectively the race for the 777 Olymp Racing Audi, which started from pole position, it's ended in heartbreak and in the gravel.
Yeah, it looks like that, and we have got a safety car. The safety car is out now. Dino Steiner in front. Now, this is a problem for Dino Steiner. While it does relieve him of the fact that he did have the other Audi in behind him, the fact that Jedlinski is now far behind is no longer the problem. The big issue is Benjamin Hites is now going to have an opportunity to close. So this has come at just the right time, not only for Hites, but Steve Jans as well. Still, there is the car beached in the gravel trap. Nick Moss will also be delighted with this as well. What about Roman Zamian, who'll be thrown into the mix? Dexter Muller up into 6th place as well. And not forgetting as well the likes of Heiko Neumann, Florian Scholz, the 2 AM category drivers up in the top 10. This is the replay of that moment yet again, folks. The 2 of them, there was no contact between the cars as such. He just lost shape heading out of Schloss Gold. The car oversteered. He then found himself into the wall, hence causing the damage. He was unable to remove the car from out of the gravel trap, got the car beached. Unfortunately, that's the race over essentially for that Olymp Racing Audi. Big shame. Carol Bash did such a good job of getting the car up to the top end of things. You can see there as well Christian Koronowski just in behind. Both cars obviously Olymp Racing cars. As ironically, the safety car's even an Audi as well. So we have got 2 Audis at the front end still.
And 2 at the very bottom. Christian Korzanowski. In fact, sorry, I'll get that right. It's the Polish team. It's the Olymp team who started off so positively, but they had a puncher a few moments ago down in the pits. You just saw Carol Bash. Heartbreak for the pole. His race is effectively over. So, yes, still 2 Audis at the front of the field, but one of them accounts for nothing. Dino Steiner has got the race lead. It does work out for the likes of Steve Jans. Well, can he take victory here this afternoon? We are into the final third of race 2 here at the Red Bull Ring. Also, Nick Moss going through, Roman Simon, Dexter Muller, Bernhard Leber and Florian Scholz, who we remind you won the Pro-Am category at this circuit 12 months ago. Heiko Neumann up into P9, and here comes Glenn Van Berlo inside the top 10. We are at the end of the pit stop window on a still greasy track. That is almost certainly what contributed to the 777 of Marcin Jedlinski going around. Sorry, George, I don't speak German.
Well, no, I mean, I have to say, looking at this grid order, looking at the grid order right now while we're under safety car ruling, I mean, obviously Oregon now have a great chance because obviously they've had the pit stop phase now. Obviously they had Kevin Gillardoni, Glenn Van Berlo were given an extended handicap for their performance yesterday. They will be pleased that this safety car situation has revealed itself, as now it will present them an opportunity to move further up the field. The other Oregon car of Benji Hites is in a very prime spot because he's now in behind that of Dino Steiner. Steiner. And Ben Jahites, we know that he's a raw talent in behind the wheel of a car, but what about Steve Jans? Could they get their win this season as well? And Nick Moss, who hasn't won since Paul Ricard, will also fancy a go at this one too. So plenty of Cinderella stories potentially in the offing here. Still under safety car ruling right now, full course yellows. As there we can see pictures, Max Herfer, of course, watching on. Of course, Dino Steiner currently holds the lead for Aust Motorsport. They will be pleased. You can see the stricken Olymp Audi there in the background, currently being tended to by the marshals, who work so hard every weekend. And no doubt, a despondent and disappointed Marcin Jedlinski. And you see hands around his waist. I'm sure he would have expected or hoped for better. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out on this occasion.
That also confirms for us that the car is damaged. It wasn't simply a case of dragging it out of the gravel and driving it back. Marcin Jedlinski walks back behind the barriers. It looks as though he hit the wall reasonably hard after spinning on a wet circuit. And there is damage to the front of that car. Undrivable, his race is over. The lead from Dino Steiner, yep, sure, the 777 Audi is gone, but he had a lead of 12 seconds over Benjamin Hites, the South American, which now evaporates. Riding on board with the Luxembourgish driver, Steve Jans. As Benjamin Hites, the South American from Santiago in Chile, last couple of seasons racing in the Ferrari Challenge in the United States, just 23 years of age. Of course, that famous victory at Monza in the rain 12 months ago. Of course, we'll be back at the Cathedral of Speed in 2 weeks' time for the penultimate round of the Championship 2.
Yeah, the team managers for cars 15, that's Dominic Schrammel, and 17, belonging to Florian Scholzer. They've got to report to race control immediately. So there could be some question marks surrounding them as well. There could be some decisions made, but obviously they've got to report. Obviously under safety car ruling right now, we will not be underway for a little while. Obviously the cars have got to catch up, get themselves ready to get going again. 16 minutes left, and now it's going to be an outright sprint at this point, Ian.
Well, let's check the order as we move into the final quarter of the race. Dino Steiner is the Pro-Am and outright leader. Look at the rain falling on the windscreen. Riding on board with David Fulminelli, who's still stuck back in 17th place. Benjamin Hites, P2. Steve Jans in P3. The Optimum Motorsport McLaren, Nick Moss, is in 4th place. Then Roman Simon, Dexter Muller, Bernhard Laber, Florian Scholz is in 8th. Heiko Newman in 9, and Glenn Van Berlo in position 10. Rima Jufali, she's in 11th place and 5th in the Pro-Am category at the moment. Then we go to Dominic Schrammel, Adam Osaka, Michele Rugolo. The weekend started so promising for the Italian. He's into 14th, ahead of Dr. Stephen Earle, who's holding his own in 15th, ahead of Laurent de Meus. And then David Fulminelli, who you ride on board with in the Kessel Racing Ferrari. The rain is falling here at the Red Bull Ring. This is lap 26 of what we expect to be around about 33 with another safety car intervention in race 2 here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria.
Yeah, David Fulminelli fresh after securing pole position yesterday for obviously yesterday's race 1, and coming back yet again has a great chance also to try and improve his prospects too. Currently sat in 17th behind Laurent de Meus, who is currently sitting in the AF Corsa Ferrari. Just ahead of him, you can see him in picture as the rain splatters upon that Kessel Racing Ferrari. Two Ferraris tied together as we now watch Dino Steiner take turn 1. Benjamin Hites just in behind. Nick Moss, who will be very familiar with these circumstances, I'm sure, be looking to try and get the best possible result for himself as the safety car is declared to be coming in this lap, folks. So it won't be long before we get back underway. We've got just over 14 minutes, I'd imagine. By the time it comes back in, we'll just have over 12 to 13 minutes left in this race. Who do you think is going to be, Ian? Tough one to call.
I can't pick it. I'm looking at Nick Moss in the 4, or in position 4 in the 72 McLaren. Sorry, I didn't give you a response straight away because I'm staring at our timing monitor.
I'll forgive you.
Roman Simon, perhaps. Florian Scholzer. Well, could they cause an upset? They're certainly leading the AM category. Dino Steiner, they have looked good all race, haven't they?
They've looked great. I mean, to recover from the issues that they had over the weekend was sensational. And so you've got to give them all the credit where credit's due. I mean, despite them having the overall lead, even if they lose it, they'll have a big chance to secure the Pro-Am win, which I'm sure they'll have on their mind. Obviously, it means they won't be going home empty-handed, that's for sure. But still, as they come through the next left, they will have plenty of laps left still to go. Dino Steiner fighting for the overall lead.
I will give you an answer, and I will say with the rain, of course, rain being the great equaliser, watch out for Glenn Van Berlo. We know how good the Oregon team are. The championship leader down in position 10, just ahead of Rima Jafali. Will he win it? Well, that's a big call, but certainly I think he will finish, all things being equal, much higher than position 10, quite possibly even on the podium as we get ready to restart and sprint to the checkered flag in race 2 here in Austria. The rain getting heavier. There's Dino Steiner, Benjamin Hintes right behind in the Oregon team. The 63 Lamborghini, they come up to the line. The green flag flies and we race once again here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Dino Steiner in position 1, Benjamin Hintes in P2. There's Nick Moss looking for a way by Steve Jans in the Get Speed car. As they go out of turn 1, they both run wide. The rain is getting heavier. There is Roman Simon in the background, just ahead of Muller.
Big crash. Huge moment there for the back at turn 1. There were several cars that exited off the circuit. I tell you what, I'm not quite sure what the catalyst for that was, folks, but I tell you what, we saw them jet on by. Now, we'll have to keep our eyes peeled. I saw an Oregon car. Oh, there's Rima Jafali. Rima Jafali, is that Motor Park as well?
It is.
That's sensational moments, to say the least. A huge crash there. I saw an Oregon car go off as well as the cars make their way through. Adam Osaka's safety car is out, folks. Safety car deployed. And there we have it, folks. With just under 12 minutes remaining, a huge moment here in this race. The restart just got off with a bang. Literally, at that point, several cars going off. I definitely saw an Oregon car go off wide. And just watching now as we see the cars becking their way through. There is Glenn Van Berlo.
He's in position 11. He's lost a position off the start, which suggests, yes, he was involved in this. As Rima Jafali slams the door, she is out, together with Heiko Newman in the Motor Park Mercedes.
Heartbreaking moment, because of course they did have a situation in the Thieber Motorsport. This is the replay. This was the moment. Oh, missed the braking point. Wow, that is a huge crash. That is a huge crash. A big moment indeed. I tell you what, Adam Osaka was very fortunate to get out of that one okay. Obviously managed to dodge all the collisions. Now that is the winner from yesterday's race as well. Dominic Schrammel obviously going off. That's part of the Motor Park team. You've obviously got as well the others. Heiko Neumann is part of Motor Park. Dominic Schrammel going off. But then, of course, we saw Adam Osaka peeling off. Rima Jafali heading out too. Spinning was Glenn Van Berlo. He actually got spun, but I think he managed to get back on. We did see him a little bit untidy coming through Schloss Gold as all the cars come into the pit lane.
Safety car is leading him through pit lane because the track is almost blocked. That was one almighty crash down into turn 1. No brakes whatsoever. We know that the track is wet. It is raining down in turn 1, but that looked like a brake failure. There was no deceleration at all from, I believe it was Dominic Schrammel in the 15 car. I'll stand corrected on that.
That was Heiko Neumann who went off, 630. The 630 car, Heiko Neumann was the car that went off. That is the Motor Park car that did fly off at that point. So big shame for them. Obviously, Timo was running an excellent race earlier on. There is Heiko. Just taking in what just happened. Obviously not ideal at all for anybody at this point. Big shame for everybody, but I have to tell you, it was very, very quick. Obviously a missed braking point. I tell you what, big shame for Thieber Motorsport. They had issues with the car before. Remember, they crashed at Spa, and they had to put on a big recovery drive to get the car back fully fit for Hungary. And since returning, they got the car back fit and well, ready for this race this weekend. And unfortunately now it's once again been damaged, but nevertheless, mighty shame. But safety car conditions, full course yellows at this point.
This will take some time to clear. The rain is coming down even heavier, so we'll only get a few laps of racing in. We're under 10 minutes to race in race 2 here this afternoon. Take a look at this. Down the inside, whack.
Ooh, huge moment. I tell you what, you've got to look at it. Glenn Van Berlo was very fortunate indeed. You are absolutely right. Dominic Schrammel went off further back, so we missed. We obviously couldn't see him panned on our cameras, but he spun off wider. There you can see the Thieber Motorsport car colliding with Van Berlo's Oregon. He managed to get it back, so he was very lucky, but the Thieber Motorsport car obviously beached. Big shame. Obviously, the longer this stays out, Max Herfer watching on, still a chance for Dino Steiner here at this point, because he'll still hold the lead under safety car conditions. But big shocks here at this point.
Well, as we see the replay for the 3rd time, that was the championship leader, Glenn Van Berlo. He wouldn't have known what hit him, a complete 360 in reverse. And that's why he lost only 1 position. That could have been the end of his day.
He was very lucky.
Oh, incredibly so. He's still in position 11. He lost one position, but was turned around backwards as they go down through pit lane. There is Glenn Van Berlo coming in through just ahead of David Fumanelli. The big winner out of this, not that that's the priority at the moment, is Michele Rugolo in the 182 Ferrari, who is in position 9 behind Bernard Lader. It will be a sprint to the checkered flag. The track is still blocked down into turn 1. You can see the track is wet. It is raining here at the Red Bull Ring. The wipers are on. Dino Steiner has got the race lead as we clear up an almighty crash down in turn 1, which has claimed Heiko Neumann, Rima Jufali and Dominic Schrammel.
Yeah, incredible moment indeed. The car's now coming out of the pit lane, and Dino Steiner will lead them around yet again. Still under full yellow flag conditions. Remember, folks, there was quite a few cars there that they had to clear up, and obviously drivers very despondent. As we now see Mario Hirscher, they're just in the background, just walking away. Obviously not ideal at all, certainly from all drivers. Certainly, well, Dominic Schrammel, should I say, walking up. There you can see as well, none other than Heiko Neumann, Rima Jafali despondent as well. The team have worked so hard, I know, from their point of view this weekend. Adam Christodoulou with a great first stint as well. And Rima Jafali, who's obviously a very, very positive and an extremely tenacious performer, amazing driver, certainly spearheaded females in motorsport as well. From the Saudi point of view, a wonderful icon in our sport, as we now see. Certainly now Nick Moss currently sits in 4th place. Now, all of these drivers are going to see this as an opportunity, though no more than Dino Steiner, who currently leads the way. I tell you what, if he got the overall win, he will be thrilled.
It's possible, because we're only going to have 2, possibly 3 laps to the checkered flag, and we are getting news from race control, but some cars have passed others under safety car conditions. So it may not be over when the checkered flag flies in, what, 6 minutes plus 1 lap's time. The order to the left of your screen: Dino Steiner in position 1, Benjamin Hites leading the Pro class, so it is a Pro-Am outright lead at the moment. Steve Jans and Nick Moss in the McLaren has stayed clear of trouble in the 72 Optimum Motorsport car. There he is, the British driver, the British car, the British team here in Austria. Roman Zyman, Florian Scholz up into 6th place, leading the AM category, together with Marco Antonelli, Dexter Muller, Bernard Laber and Michele Rugolo, as we mentioned a moment ago, in position 9. The cars come down through pit lane once again. You look at Philip Barron, qualified 3rd yesterday, the AM driver. Steers clear of trouble. Philip Barron in position 18 behind Fran Rueda. He'll be frustrated, the Spanish driver. Was hoping for a strong finish, but another safety car interruption means he'll have very little time to show off his talent behind the wheel of the returning 44 Greystone GT McLaren, which was just on your screen there. They go past the damage, which is being cleared. Thankfully, the most important thing, obviously, is that Heiko, Rima and Dominic are all okay. You saw them step out of the wreck of 3 very damaged GT3 supercars in this round 5 of the 2022 championship. Under 5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Steve Jans in position 3, P2 in the Pro class. Dino Steiner is leading outright in a Pro-Am category car in the Audi, which has been incredibly quick all race. Has got better and better all weekend after suffering brake issues. There's Rima Jafali, the girl from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. The Saudi-owned car, disappointed, obviously. So just over 4 minutes as the safety car will prepare to pull in at the end of this lap, and we will sprint to the checkered flag. The order at the left of your screen: Steiner, Hites, Jans, Moss, Zyman, Florian Scholz leading the AM category and position 6 outright. Don't forget, in 2 weeks' time, we go to Monza in the north of Italy for the penultimate round of the 2022 GTOpen International Championship. And then Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, Spain, for the series final for the 2022 GTOpen International and Euro Formula Open Championships. Ready for the restart, the sprint to that checkered flag. Race control instructing safety car, the safety car, to pull into pit lane at the end of this lap. And the race director, I can see out of the corner of our window, is standing on the start-finish line, ready to wave the green flag. Steiner leads them up to the line. That's Benjamin Hites. He won in the rain at Monza, where we race in 2 weeks' time. That was 12 months ago. Can he pull off a sensational upset win here this afternoon? And can the Oregon team go 2 from 2 in 24 hours? The green flag flies and we race to the checkered flag. Great restart from Benjamin Hites. Right on the back of Dino Steiner as the field scatter. Hites around the outside, looks for grip. On a greasy track there, wheel to wheel, they touch. They go side by side as they race up the straight. The 2 V10 powered supercars, the Audi versus the Lamborghini. There's Steve Jans in the background in position 3, who's being hounded by Nick Moss. And Roman Simon in P5 in the background. Hites has gone through incredibly. Oregon, can they do it 2 days in a row? Now Steve Jans tries to take, and he does so, Dino Steiner. And Nick Moss won't have to be asked twice. They go down the back straight. The first time after the restart, we're keeping one eye on the clock. There is Florian Scholzer in the Antonelli Motorsports 17 Mercedes. The German driver behind the Brits in the McLaren. Benjamin Hites, Oregon, looking at 2 victories in 2 days. They had a 1-2 yesterday, and Benjamin Hites off the restart. He was so close to the back of Dino. Steiner now in 2nd place. In fact, he's gone back to 3rd. There's Nick Moss, one of the Ferraris, very much sideways. Roman Simon go through. It was Dexter Muller. In fact, Michele Rugolo up into 8th place. What a recovery from Michele in the AF Corsa 182 car. There he is going through on the outside, though. Runs a little bit wide. There's Florian Scholzer up the inside and takes Nick Moss side by side, and he's past him. Nicely done. Moss back to P5. Benjamin Hites P1. 2nd place, Steve Jans. It's all kicking off in the dying stages. In fact, this is the final lap of race 2 here at the Red Bull Ring. Fuminelli now up into the top 10. Michele Rugolo is right behind him. And then Roman Simon in position 6. He was briefly in car 73. There's Nick Moss going through in P5. The final shot for Steve Jans to pull off an incredible upset here this afternoon. The Get Speed Performance Mercedes closes in on the back of the Lamborghini for Team Oregon. Hites goes defensive. There's Dino Steiner. He's not out of it yet, particularly if something happens in the remaining half lap of the final lap. Lap 34 of race 2 here at the Red Bull Ring. Dino Steiner in position 3, and Florian Scholz, the AM car, 4th outright down the hill for the final time. Benjamin Hites closes the door on Steve Jans, the Luxembourgish driver on the back of the South American. They approach the Jochenring curves for the final time. Tries to send it down the inside, but the South American closes the door. Up the inside, the final opportunity, gets so close to the back of the 63 Lamborghini, almost touches him. They both run wide. Oregon team, they finished 1-2 yesterday. They take their 2nd victory in 24 hours here at the Red Bull Ring here in Austria. What a victory from Benjamin Hites and Team Oregon. The Pirates have done it again. Unbelievable scenes. Wow, Benjamin Hites has come from so far back and taken an incredible win against the odds. An intelligent drive, sharing that car with Leonardo Pulcini. They were outside the top 10 in the early stages of the race. They fought their way back. They avoided the carnage. Wheel to wheel on the final lap. Dino Steiner almost taking the victory. He does take the Pro-Am class win and finishes a fantastic 3rd outright. They raced up the hill on the penultimate lap. Benjamin Hites took victory at Monza in 2021 and has taken victory here in round 5 in 2022 at the Red Bull Ring. Steve Jans down the inside. He goes by Steiner as well. It all kicked off on the final lap, including Fuminelli going around into the wall. In fact, it was Stephen Earle, apologies, in the other Ferrari, the 11 Ferrari. He has not yet crossed the line. Fuminelli does, in fact, finishing P6, coming home ahead of Michele Rugolo. Benjamin Hites takes the victory from Steve Jans, and Dino Steiner in third place. So the championship is not over yet. Leonardo Pulcini and Benjamin Hites, P3 coming into this. They may get ever so closer to their teammates. The order here this afternoon, Benjamin Hites, Leonardo Pulcini take victory in race 2 at the Red Bull Ring. Bold and Jans in second place, Dino Steiner and Max Hoffa home in third. In the top Audi for Alps Motorsport, Moss and Osborne, Schaffner and Kranz, Fumanelli, Chuada Romlu, ahead of Van der Boom and Michele Rugolo, Gilardoni and Glenn Van Berlo, not their best afternoon. The championship leaders in position 8. What could have been for Karel Bash and Stanislav Yetlinski, the pole sitters, a DNF after an accident halfway through the race. So the championship does look like this. Glenn Van Berlo and Kevin Gilardoni on 99 points, just a single point ahead of their teammates, Leonardo Pulcini and Benjamin Hites, who have just taken a spectacular nail-biting victory here this afternoon. 2 from 2 for the Oregon team here in Austria. 2 victories in 24 hours, almost unheard of. And this super competitive GTOpen International Championship. Congratulations to Steve Jans. The Get Speed Motorsport car, sharing it with the young French driver, Sebastian Bull. Leonardo Pulcini, the 2016 Euro Formula Open champion, with the win with Benjamin Hites. P3 and the Pro M class victory for Dino Steiner and Max Hoffa in the Alps Motorsport Audi. P2, the top Mercedes for Sebastian Bull and Steve Jans, the Luxembourgish driver, sharing that car with the Frenchman. But position 1, the South American Benjamin Hites with the Italian Leonardo Pulcini, who are down in pit lane with Alfredo. Let's hear from them now. We'll wait for Benjamin and Leonardo to get with Alfredo. There are fantastic scenes down in pit lane. We believe Alfredo is ready, and he's got the race winners with him.
Leonardo
Let's hear from Benjamin and Leonardo now.
Hites, back to victory.
Yeah, finally. After Budapest, we lost a lot of points for the championship. And shame about yesterday. We lost some time at the beginning of the race, but otherwise we could do a double win. But now we are back for the championship. We wanted this victory so hard. Benji complete the move at the end, so mega. So thank you to Oregon team and Lamborghini Squadra Corse.
The last part of the race was entertaining. Eh?
Well, the last part of the race, there weren't a lot of laps, but there were tricky conditions. I knew when it came green, I only had 2 laps to make the move done, so I saw the opportunity, and with the great car we have, Lamborghini, we could take the victory. So thank you very much to Lamborghini Squadra Corse and Oregon team, and yeah, to Chile. This is for Chile.
Thank you. All the best.
Round 5, race 2 of the 2022 GTOpen International Championship. It was the pole, Karel Bash, who started from pole position and led the field away. A clean start, relatively speaking. Joe Osborne and Nick Moss in the McLaren. They were initially in second place. But the driver on the move with Max Hoffa has the 91 car. The 91 Ferrari brought out the safety car early on. Max Hoffa in the Audi was on the charge. He was by the McLaren, and pretty soon on, it was an Audi 1-2. Benjamin Hites and Leonardo Pulcini. Leonardo taking the wheel initially, and then Max Hoffa reeled in Karel Bash from 1.9 seconds back and took the lead. The Audis trading positions, and from there, the afternoon would turn from bad to worse for the 777 Olymp Racing Audi team. with this move right here, trying to retake the lead on a greasy track, and Jablinski into the wall, and that was the end of his afternoon. That brought out the safety car, Max Hoffa and Dino Steiner. It looked for a moment as though they were taking a incredible win. One almighty crash down into turn one, eliminating Heiko Newman, Rima Jafali and Dominic Schrammel. Dino Steiner under immense pressure. Benjamin Hites around the up the inside, around the outside as they raced up the hill on the penultimate lap, and the South American for Team Oregon would take the lead. Steve Jans followed him through for second place, but Team Oregon go 2 in a row here in Austria. Benjamin Hites, Leonardo Pulcini take the victory and close in on the 2022 championship. The Pro-Am victory and third place outright. Dino Steiner taking it to the checkered flag in car 3 with Max Hoffa. P2, Sebastian Ball and Steve Jans and Benjamin Hites in car 63. What a drive to the checkered flag. Takes the victory with Leonardo Pulcini. The Pirates win this one again for Team Oregon. 2 victories in 2 days here at the Red Bull Ring. The outright podium here in round 5 of the Red Bull Ring. 2 pro drivers, and then the Pro-Am combination of Max Hoffa and Dean Steiner, who actually win the Pro-Am category. We'll have the Pro-Am podium for you in just a moment. And third place outright as everyone runs for cover. They're all wet down in pit lane, courtesy of the mid-race shower. And here's another one. Glenn Van Berlo and Kevin Gilardoni, 99 points in the championship. And with this victory, Leonardo Pulcini and his teammate Benjamin Hites in the middle of your screen. They're just 1 point behind. Joe Osborne and Nick Moss, P3, they're not out of it either. Their third outright in the series, 94 points. So what, just 5 points separating first and third in the outright pro championship for the 2022 GTOpen International Series. In just a moment, the Pro-Am category podium. Dino and Max step down after finishing a superb third outright. An outright victory was so close for them, but that crashed at the end of the race. And of course the rain shower towards the very end, towards the checkered flag, meant that chaos ensued. They did superbly to finish in P3 outright and take this, the Pro-Am victory. So David Fumanelli and Murat Dradaroglu, P3 in the Pro-Am category, and a superb 6th outright. The Get Speed performance car of Moritz Kranz, and there is Janine Schaffner. Great to see them on the podium in P2 in the Pro-Am category, and the winners of the Pro-Am category, third outright as well, we should remind you. Max Hoffa and Dino Steiner for the Alps Motorsport Audi team. Just a reminder, in 2 weeks' time, the penultimate round of the championship at Monza in Italy, and then the season final in mid-October in Barcelona, Spain. 2022 GTOpen International Championship Just 5 points separating the top three. The AM winners on the middle of your screen, or perhaps that's not, there's Conrad. Kiki Saknana and Adam Aseka, we believe they have taken victory in the AM category. Florian Scholz and Marco Antonelli, they came so close. Here's Martin Conrad. They'll finish in position 3. As the AM drivers step up onto the podium. In third place, Marco Antonelli and Florian Scholz, P2 in the AM category. For the man filter team, Landgraf team, Alexander Hirokoina and Martin Conrad, and winning the AM category, Kiki Saknana from Thailand, together with Adam Osekya. Great to have your company. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you at Monza in 2 weeks' time for the penultimate round of the GTOpen International Championship. We'll see you in Italy.